You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, y'all. Federal Appeals Court has ruled that Florida can't bar felons who serve their time from registering to vote simply because they haven't paid all fines and fees stemming from their cases. A three-judge panel, the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals on Wednesday, upheld a Tallahassee federal judge's decision that the law implementing Amendment 4 amounted to an unfair poll tax. Amendment 4 was passed overwhelmingly by voters in 2018 to allow as many as 1.6 million formerly incarcerated folks to regain their right to vote. Joining me right now to talk about this is Maxwell, Senior Policy Analyst for Race and Ethnicity Policy at the Center for American Progress. All right, Connor, so this has been going back and forth. The governor, Ron DeSantis, he wanted a ruling from the state Supreme Court. They affirmed the bill passed by the legislature. Now the federal courts are intervening.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you said, back in 2018, voters overwhelmingly passed a measure to restore voting rights to people with prior felony convictions. This affected over 1.5 million Floridians, disproportionately black and brown people. This stemmed from a long history in Florida of measures enacted to prevent people of color from voting. And once voters enacted it, Governor DeSantis led an effort to undermine that ballot initiative to impose these measures requiring people with prior felony convictions to pay off fines and fees in order to vote. As you said, a federal district court ruled that Florida could not hold people, could not impose a poll. And an 11th Circuit Court of Appeals recently upheld that. So now it will likely be appealed to the Supreme Court, but hopefully, we're really optimistic here that come November 2020, over a million people with prior felony convictions in Florida will finally be able to cast those ballots on Election Day.
And what also jumps out here, obviously, this has been going back and forth. I mean, look, Republicans in Florida, they don't want to see these folks casting ballots because this could literally flip the state.
I think that's absolutely what their intention was behind this. As I said before, folks in Florida have a long history of trying to prevent black people from voting. Rather than going into these communities, trying to appeal to them, trying to help them to find jobs, housing, opportunities, they instead try to suppress their vote, keep them from the ballot box in order to maintain control of the state. So it's a long history here, and they're only going to continue to push it further. And what's really scary about this ruling here, Roland, is that even if the ruling stands in the long term, it's still up to the individuals to prove that they're unable to pay back their fines and fees in order to get their civil rights back. And so and Florida will actually set those standards for what determines someone's ability to pay.
All right, then. Conor Maxwell, we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
All right, folks, this is where, for me, I hope there are other ballot initiatives that take place around the country to change state constitutions like they did in Florida.
Listen, this is major. 1.6 million voters that now have their full...
It's a game changer.
It's a game changer. Full franchise back. I think Republicans should probably be terrified. I think Democrats need to organize. But, what it amounted to a poll tax. It amounted to an illegal poll tax. And I'm glad, this is the power of the courts. This is the importance of having a good federal judiciary right here in play. Could you imagine if, this is the 11th Circuit was, fully stacked with Trump appointees right now? I mean, you would have seen this, very, very racist law.
You know what's interesting about this, though, is that the original legislation was silent on fines, and that in some subsequent litigation, the group representing these 1.6 million felons, or the interest groups, conceded at one point the silence, and that the fines and other levies that were put forth, because they weren't covered, that they may have some exposure. Watch for the legislature, depending on what the makeup is of the Florida legislature. I can't remember.
It's as red as that wall.
Watch them, because I always thought that this case, what would happen, Roland, was that the legislature would take it back up and then add that more specific language into the legislation and then try to push it through. Here, the plaintiffs were able to convince a federal court and state court that the sentence was the sentence, and that if I could vote, if these 1.6 could vote, then they could vote, and that includes if they hadn't paid their fines. And so it's a huge victory for that group.
But the question is now going to be with, I can't remember if Florida's on Super Tuesday or the week after, with the Florida primary approaching as swiftly as it is, are they going to go back to the federal court to get an injunction for extended voter registration?
So they could appeal it to the Supreme Court?
Or no, just to have an injunction to keep the window for voter registration open. Now that you have essentially 1.6 million people that may not be registered to vote and should have the opportunity to vote, and essentially we're 3 weeks, maybe a month out from the Florida primary, so
well, it also depends what is the financial barrier for that if they were to extend it for them.
I mean, they could do same-day registration right there at the polls.
Well, vigilance is the key.
but that's still a cost factor for the state.
The justice groups and the Democratic groups who are behind this and this huge victory, they got to stay vigilant. Because the GOP in these states, let me tell you something, there's a reason that the GOP, state and local and federal, that they suppress voting rights for people of color. They know that when we vote vote for Democrats, we win. And so this policy or these efforts statewide, especially across the South, are for a purpose. Because Republicans cannot win without suppressing the black and brown vote.
I keep trying to tell Republicans, if they want to actually get black votes, stop suppressing the vote.
Exactly. They come up with an urban agenda.
I'm just letting you know, black people ain't going to roll with you.
Just
letting you know. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
All right, so a lot of y'all are always asking me about some of the pocket squares that I wear. Now, Robert don't have one on. Now, I don't particularly like the white pocket squares. I don't like even the silk ones. And so I was reading GQ magazine a number of years ago, and I saw this guy who had this pocket square here, and it looks like a flower. This is called a shibori pocket square. This is how the Japanese manipulate the fabric to create this sort of flower effect. So I'm going to take it out and then place it in my hand so you see what it looks like. And I said, man, this is pretty cool. And so I tracked down, it took me a year to find a company that did it. And so they make these about 47 different colors. And so I love them because, again, as men, we don't have many accessories to wear, so we don't have many options. And so this is really a pretty cool pocket square. Now, what I love about this here is you saw when it's in the pocket, it gives you that flower effect like that. But if I wanted to also, unlike other, because if I flip it and turn it over, it actually gives me a different type of texture. And so therefore, it gives me a different look. So there you go. So if you actually want to get one of these shibori pocket squares, we have them in 47 different colors. All you got to do is go to RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. So it's RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. All you got to do is go to my website, and you can actually get this. Now, for those of you who are members of our Bring the Funk fan club, there's a discount for you to get our pocket squares. That's why you also got to be a part of our Bring the Funk fan club. And so that's what we want you to do. And so it's pretty cool. So if you want to jazz your look up, you can do that. In addition, y'all see me with some of the feather pocket squares. My sister, who's a designer, she actually makes these. They're all custom made. So when you also go to the website, you can also order one of the customized feather pocket squares right there at RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. So please do so. And of course, it goes to support the show. And again, if you're a Bring the Funk fan club member, you get a discount. This is why you should join the fan club.
Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.